To the all-important Rawalpindi Test match, the Pakistan Cricket Board and Cricket Australia have introduced the Benaud-Qadir Trophy to celebrate Australia's first Test series in Pakistan in 24 years. Rick, are you looking forward for the series, and what are you expecting from the series?
It's such a huge occasion, really, that the Australian team is finally back in Pakistan after all that time. It's been such a long period of absences through a variety of security concerns, and then, as we know, the dreadful incident at Lahore in 2009 during the Sri Lankan series, which really set cricket back in Pakistan for a long time. Other countries coming on board touring Pakistan. Australia made the commitment. They are there now, and I think it's about highly anticipated an overseas tour. Plus the fact, of course, actually it's the first overseas tour that Australia has made in 2 years because of COVID, and there's a great deal of anticipation.
Melinda Farrell and other Aussie journalists who have been there claim that Rawalpindi is sold out for all 5 days. Seeing the crowds back in and cricket in Pakistan, this will be a new sight for cricketing community, Rick, especially for the generation who have not seen cricket in Pakistan.
Yeah, it's great to see that sold out. I mean, the crowds have been into the PSL matches this season. I think there's a big crowd at the final on the weekend, but crowds at Rawalpindi and the other grounds as well. It's a great thing. I mean, it's big anticipation for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how tight the security is going to be with COVID and everything else going on for the crowd, but I hope they have a really good cricket this week.
Cannot wait. Another 3 or 4 hours away. Just as a reminder, Australia are visiting Pakistan for a 3 Test match series, which of course the first one begins today and 2 more. And Rick, this is their first visit to Pakistan since 1998, where Mark Taylor and team won the series 1-0. 3 Test matches.
Yeah.
Before we go to predictions, probable 11s from an Australia point of view. Are you expecting any surprises, or what is the 11 you are looking to put on board for Australia?
I think the unanswered question at the moment is whether they go in with the 1 spinner or 2. There's no real certainty last night as to what the pitch was going to be like today. Pat Cummins hadn't made up his mind as to what would happen there. So really, I think the back top 7 is pretty much set. You're going to have Warner and Kawaja opening, then Smith, Labuschagne, Head, Green, Carey. The bowlers, it's a question of whether they have a second spinner, whether that's Mitch Swepson or Ashton Agar, and if they do go with that, whether who misses out of. But I'm guessing it's likely to be 3 Ricks. Nathan Lyons,
yeah,
most likely.
I would think so too. I think it will be Cummins, Stark, and Hazelwood, and Nathan Lyle will be a certainty given his experience. Pakistan point of view, Rick, unfortunately, Haris Rauf ended up positive COVID. It sucks. Otherwise, he was looking forward for his debut.
What news for Haris Rauf? Because that's the second time he's had COVID. It's a really awful luck for him. That means that Naseem Shah looks like he's back in the side. Also had Shaheen Afridi spearheading the pace attack there. It'll be interesting to see how the Australian top order go again. I think just looking at probables for Pakistan, the only other question, I guess, in the lineup is whether Shan, Masood or Imam-ul-Haq will open the batting. Fairly formidable middle order there. When you look at Azhar, Azam, Fawad, Alam and Mohammad, Rizwan in the middle order. So a formidable lineup.
Especially at home, they'll be super pumped because they're playing a test match at home after such a long time.
Most definitely. Australia also has a little bit of a dodgy record at travelling overseas, especially when you look at their record in India and Sri Lanka and England. It's still a bit of a weakness, and of course, having not played away from home for 2 years, I think that Australia could be vulnerable in that sense, especially if they do get their bowling attack wrong. I think one interesting weakness that's shown up in their team in the last couple of years playing at home is the difficulty in bowling a team out in the 4th innings. We saw especially how that failed in India last year.
And what about some of the matchups you're looking forward for? I mean, watching Shaheen Shah Afridi bowl to Steve Smith, Marnus Labuschagne, I'm really looking forward for that juicy encounter, Rick.
Indeed, yes. Yeah. Those are going to be great encounters. Hopefully, Steve Smith will have over concussion by now. He hasn't played since he hit his head in the outfield that ODI a few weeks ago. So that's his first game, but seems he's been past fit. But yeah, yes, that would be quite, quite an entertaining matchup to see how that goes. Of course, on the other side of the ledge, you have people like Cummins and Stark up against Babar Azam.
Oh wow, absolutely. Yeah, Cummins, Hazelwood, Stark against Azam, Fawad Alam. This is mouth-watering matchups coming up, and it's also fascinating that on the same day we have somebody like Babar Azam playing a test match and Virat Kohli in few hours' time wear his 100th test caps, and then Women's World Cup.
Yes,
wow,
indeed.
Lovely feast day for cricketing community.
A huge day for cricket. It's going to be a day for putting up the split screen, I think.
Fun and games. Excellent. And so from a predictions point of view, obviously, there's a lot of anticipation. 3 test match series. What are you thinking the scoreline is going to be at the end of 3 match series?
I think Pakistan have the home advantage. As I said, Australia is still vulnerable in travelling, and they certainly haven't experienced Pakistani conditions. None of the current players would have done so. I think the last Australian tour industry, an Australian A team, to a Pakistani in 05-06. I think all the players from that side are well and truly retired. Mike Hussey, Mitchell Johnson, probably the last big names from that lot are still playing at the top level. So, I mean, none of the current crop have experienced that. Cameron Green wasn't even born at the time of the last tour. Of course, they haven't had the opportunity to actually have any warm-up matches as well. Very tight schedule with their international program and COVID bubbles and everything. So I think Pakistan has the edge. In hope that all 3 matches go to a result, maybe Australia will sweep one up. Let's say Pakistan, Australia 1.
Pakistan 2, Australia 1. 2-1 Pakistan.
Yeah.
Interesting. Pakistan and Australia both. If you have to identify one weakness in each of the squad for this series.
Pakistan, depending again on the type of pitch, I suppose it depends on how their slow bowling would go. For Australia, Warner's has had his vulnerabilities at the top of the order in recent years. So if they could break through against him, that's always a possibility. Even Khawaja, I mean, he had a brilliant test match at the SCG just recently, but he can run hot and cold. I mean, he had a fantastic test match against Pakistan in was it Dubai in 2018? They had a draw.
That's right. Khawaja. And it's funny you mentioned that David Warner is probably vulnerable, because I was just looking at some stats. Rick, looks like in the 7 tests against Pakistan, David Warner has 5 centuries and his average is at 108. So it seems like he has fancied Pakistan bowling pretty good. Of course, these were in UAE, those scores. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, and it's also that's boosted by that 335, is it not? So
absolutely.
Yeah. I'm just thinking. I mean, there's no Stuart Broad in the Pakistan side, so I just feel as if one could serve them for Australian cricket, but I think at 30, it probably is starting to feel that maybe IPL is more his game these days.
Yeah, absolutely. And how about this tribute of Benaud-Qadir Trophy? Are you happy with the name, or would you have preferred any other name? What are the reactions in Australia about the trophy naming convention?
I quite like it. Sometimes you look at this sort of name 1, name 2 trophy and I think it's a bit, could they come up with something more imaginative? But I think Prithvi, Benaud and Abdul-Qadir are 2 perfect. And it isn't enough in history, so there's no recency bias about them. Prithvi, of course, was a part of the first 2 tours that Australia made to Pakistan. He was captain in the second. Abdul-Qadir made quite an impact in Australia. He would be at least to most present-day fans. Time playing in, I guess, the WSC 1 days in Australia in the early 1980s. So that would be probably the main thing to Australian fans. And of course, he did doing some performances in Pakistan and so. So I think that they've made a really good choice with those names.
Highly anticipated series, and it is unfortunate that we had a loss of Rod Marsh, but hopefully the players will pay tribute to him. I'm sure they will come out with black armbands in remembrance of Rod Marsh. Again, we pay tributes to his family and friends. Hopefully they get strength to manage the loss, and May the great man rest in peace. Rick, thanks for making time. It was really useful to get your insight for the much anticipated series. And we'll continue to chat with Rick. For the folks who are watching, we'll follow the Australia-Pakistan series very closely. So stay tuned.
Thank you, Sunan.